I see the participants are getting in. Just going to give everyone a few moments to make sure that they are in the session before we officially get started. Okay, it looks like most people are in, so I don't want to waste anyone's time. So good morning again, and thank you for joining today's session on what's new at SC Endeavors. I am Carrie Kennengeiser. I am the program coordinator for South Carolina Partnerships for Inclusion, and I will be helping facilitate today's session. Your presenter for this morning is Melissa Starker from SC Endeavors, which was formerly known as the Center for Childcare Career Development. Now, before we get started, we do have a few housekeeping items to ensure the best virtual learning experience for everyone. So you'll see a quick little slide in front of you that just shows you how you will navigate chat and Q&A. Please make sure you're using the Q&A box for questions, and the chat box can be used for any other comments or resources that you might know of. This session is being recorded and will be hosted on SCIC's YouTube channel, and you'll find a link on their website next week for anyone who's interested in watching the recording. All attendee videos and microphones have been muted. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to use that Q&A box, and we'll do our best to answer your questions today. If for some reason we're unable to, we'll make sure to get back to you as soon as possible with that information. If you need closed captioning, you will see a little icon somewhere on your screen that says CC. Make sure you go ahead and click the little arrow, the little caret, to get more information about the captioning and how you could make it larger if you need to. So without further ado, I will go ahead and pass it over to Melissa Starker for more information about SC Endeavors.
Okay, thank you. So, hi, everyone. I really appreciate you coming to the session today. I know there were other choices, and so I am so thankful that you are choosing this session so you can learn more about South Carolina Endeavors and what we are doing that's new, so that you can learn more about our system. So without further ado, let's get started. So first of all, I just kind of want to know who is here, who's in the session. So that helps me kind of frame my presentation to what your needs are. So if you could use that Q&A box to write, what your role is within the field of early childhood. Are you a teacher? Are you a director? Are you a trainer? What is your role within the field of early childhood, so that I can kind of frame my presentation to your needs. We'll take just a minute to do that. Okay, any results from our Q&A?
Melissa, you've got a lot of educators on this morning.
Great. Any directors of programs?
I see a couple of directors as well as managers.
Great.
Coordinators.
Okay. Good deal. All right. So that helps me. To know kind of who's in my session and what we can focus on a little bit more. So thank you for that. So what we're going to do today is kind of talk about just generally what is South Carolina Endeavors, kind of the overview of what we're doing. What are the what's and the whys, of a registry, kind of why we're doing this, what are the key features of our new registry, And I'm going to do a demonstration of how to create an account and how to set up an organization profile and connect your employment to that organization profile. So throughout the presentation, we'd like to try to save the majority of the questions for the end, just so we can be sure to get through the content. But if there's just a burning question that you have, you can put that in the Q&A, and Takoria can kind of help me manage that and keep up with things that might be relevant to everyone. Of course, if you have real specific questions about the needs of your profile within the registry, or a question about training or something like that that we don't get to, you can always reach out to me, and I'll have my email address at the end of this presentation, so you can reach out to me personally. I'd be more than happy to help you with anything that you have a question about for your personal profile. So let's go ahead and get started with talking about the newest thing, is our name. Many of you are familiar with 4 C's and a D, as we were affectionately known. Center for Child Care Career Development was a mouthful, especially when you're answering the phone. But we did change to South Carolina Endeavors and South Carolina Endeavors Registry. And basically the meaning behind Endeavors is to strive or achieve. And we felt like changing our name to South Carolina Endeavors was more inclusive of the field, and it was more representative of what we're trying to do, which is to achieve higher levels of professionalism within the field. You have many opportunities within this new system to highlight your accomplishments, your professional accomplishments, your educational accomplishments. And we felt like the name was much more representative of those abilities to be able to highlight those increases in your professional accomplishments. So that was one of the biggest changes that we have. And so we have a new logo and all kinds of new fun things. And if we were in live session, I would be handing out fun swag, but I can't do that virtually. So we'll have to catch up with you another time on that. So basically, South Carolina Endeavors, while we did change our name from the Center for Child Care Career Development, we did still maintain the functionality that we had previously. We still do the Teach Scholarship Program. The scholarship program allows people to go back to school and earn degrees or credentials in the field. And we provide that scholarship funds for you to do that. That program does not live within the registry. It is a separate program. It has its own separate license. So it's not something that lives within the registry, but that program lives under the umbrella of South Carolina Endeavors. And so we have people that work in our office on that initiative. We also still provide the credentialing system, and that's our credentials within the 16 technical colleges. So if you wanted to go back to school and get your early childhood credential, which is through ECD 101, or any of the other credentials levels 2 and 3, you would be doing that through the credentialing system in our office and getting those awards and bonuses. We also still provide our technical assistance system, which is providing certification to our technical assistance partners that come into your programs. They can come into your programs, do some technical assistance for any of your program needs. I know South Carolina Inclusion Collaborative is a partner in the technical assistance realm, and they come out to programs and do specific training and technical assistance for you as well. We have many other partners that are also doing that. And so this system houses that opportunity for technical assistance and technical assistance providers. And then finally, what most people know us for is the training system, because we still will be documenting training for DSS. That is still our main objective, is to make sure that you have your compliance with the training system and that you have your DSS required hours. And so that has not changed. It just looks a lot different, and it has different requirements for our trainers who have been participating in that system. And so it looks different, but it really is the same kind of thing. You still have the same requirements from DSS, and DSS is still looking at South Carolina Endeavors to maintain that compliance and show that within the learning record or DSS transcript. So just a quick poll. What have you done in the registry so far? Have you created an account? Have you accessed your learning record? Have you set up your employment record and had that verified by the director? Just kind of I think Corey has a poll, excuse me, I'll go back, to let you share with us what you have done already in the registry, if you have done any of those things. right, do we have any results from our poll? Looks good. Okay, good. Oh my goodness, we have 87% that have already created an account in the system. That is wonderful news. 67% of you have access to your learning record or your DSS transcript. We are trying to transition to the word learning record. Transcript reflects more of a academic transcript, and we'll be doing a lot more of that in the future with our career ladder launch. And so we're kind of transitioning our learning record, which is basically your DSS training hours, or transitioning to that word learning record rather than DSS transcript. And then it looks like we have about a little less than half that have already entered your employment and been verified by your director. And so that's really good to hear, to see that, because I will make sure to focus on that. That's one of the biggest things that we think we need your help with, in ensuring that we've got up-to-date employment records and profiles for organizations. So I will spend some time on that. So that's great. So what is a workforce registry? A workforce registry is basically just a web-based system. It's designed to track and promote the employment, training, and educational accomplishments of the early care and education field. In our previous system, we really were just tracking training. We weren't tracking employment history, any kind of work history. And if we were tracking education, it was only the education that you could obtain through the 16 technical colleges. It wasn't capturing any of your other accomplishments that you might have done with maybe CDA, or with any other state that you might have attended a college or gotten some academic credit for. So this system will allow us to be much more inclusive for capturing all of the education and training and employment endeavors that you have accomplished in the field. So why do we need a workforce registry? It really is a simplified experience because everything is in one place. There is no need to duplicate efforts. So many of you are probably involved with many other initiatives. You may be also involved with the ABC Child Care Program, and you have to supply documentation to them, and then you've got to supply it to DSS. So we're looking at the registry to be kind of the one-stop shop eventually. Having everything in one place means that you don't have to provide it over and over and over again to the different programs that you are involved with. So when ABC needs to see maybe education records, they will go to the registry. Rather than having it be multiple places, it's much easier and concise for it to be in one area for all, not only for you, but for our partner agencies as well. It is going to be very consistent. It'll be linked to other systems, verified and reliable data. We have a team of education associates that will be looking at transcripts. They have very distinct policies on how to do that and how we can level people within the career ladder. So it is very comprehensive, and you can be sure that if it's in there and it's verified, that it's good data. And that's what we need for reporting purposes. Anytime you have data that's in a system, of course, you want to be able to report that information. It will be reported in aggregate form, of course, not individually. Individuals won't be related to this data, but it can be used for our state and federal guideline reporting that we have to do. And it's useful for policy and program decisions. So we've been asked a few times about, why are you asking this in the registry? Well, basically because we need data to make decisions. If we don't have verified data, reliable data, we really can't help advance the field, because everybody wants to know, well, what do you need? Well, we can't tell you what we need until we have data that says what we need. One of the biggest places that people have asked is with wage information, and you'll see that in a little bit when I go through the organization profile. It is asking for wage information, and sometimes people don't want to report that, and I understand that, and you don't have to. That's never a required field. But if you do report that, that gives us information and data that we can use to make some policy requests. We can advocate for higher pay. I think we all know that the early care and education field is limited when it comes to compensation, and we want to change that. We want to use this data to really turn the tables on that and say, hey, we're not getting enough in this field. We're not getting enough support. And this is the data that tells us what we know. So when you're creating an account in the system, again, going back to data, we're capturing information about the field. We're capturing demographic information, we're capturing education information, and we're having this up-to-date employment information. You can have work history reported in there. You can report any place that you've ever worked, so you have a work history associated with your account, or you can just connect to your current employment. But it is important to have that up to date, and it's much easier to do that in this system versus the previous system, because the previous system was just basically self-reported. It wasn't verified by anything. This system has a way to link to the licensing data, and so we know that that is more up to date than the previous system where it was just kind of typed in and it was never verified. Functionality for you all, for teachers and providers that are in the system, is that you have access to your learning record, everything from the old system transferred to the new system. So any data that you had in the old system, any of your training should all be, you should be able to see that information within the new system. And if you don't see that, then you need to call me. You need to check in with an email and tell me that you need some help with that, because it should have all come through. And as long as you linked appropriately to that learning record, you should have everything that you have previously taken any year that you were within the old system. So we want to make sure that you're successful in doing that. You also have access to your state registry ID or your student number. That is something that we're really trying to push more. The old system used socials, and that's not okay to really use that personal protective information. So we're trying to use the state registry ID to really protect privacy for people, and it helps our trainers enter your information so that you can still maintain that compliance with your DSS training hours. So it makes their job a lot easier because it's a unique number that's assigned to you. In the past, you had to call our organization and get that state registry ID number if you had a new employee, but you no longer have to do that. All they have to do is create an account, and it assigns them a unique number right there, and they're good to go. They're ready to go and start taking training and doing any of the other things that they're interested in within our system. And then finally, you can find training in our system so much easier. And I am going to demo that. I hope we have time for that, because I think that that's one place where we really want to point people back to the registry to find training so that they can be sure they're taking training that counts for DSS credit hours. So now I'm going to demonstrate how to create an account. I know many of you have already done that, and so I appreciate that you have done that. But to get to that kind of second part where we're going to attach our organization or our employment to an organization, we really do need to show you how that works with creating an account. So I'm going to start with, this is the login registry page for our system. And I'm going to show you how that would get started. So I'm going to, first of all, let you know that this site that I'm using is a test site. It is not a site that's our live site. So we use this kind of demonstration site to show people how the system works. Any of the data that I put in isn't reportable. It's just kind of test data. And anything that you might see in the system is also just test data, or it's scrambled data. There's nothing in it that's really, you can find anyone on. So it's just for testing purposes. So I'm also going to be using a test email. This is not a real email. And I'm going to set up somebody named Sally Provider. So you would first type in your email address, and then you would hit create an account. Okay, and so every time you create an account, it sends you an email. So when you go to your email that you created, when you put in that email address that's yours, you'll go back to your email address and you will check to see, oh, I have an email that I need to verify. I'm doing that off screen. But what it does is it has you assign your password. So I'm going to assign myself a password. And I'm going to save it. And as soon as it acknowledges that I was successful with that password, I'm going to come back to the screen and I'm going to type in what I put. And if you don't get that verification email, sometimes email systems block that information. So you'll just want to you may have to contact your email administrator You may just need to wait a few minutes. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer with, blocks and things like that or quarantines, but you should get that verification email, and that is absolutely critical to moving forward in the system. So it accepted my password. So now I'm going to continue on with the creation of this account. I'm making up data here. And so it just walks me through the process of setting up information within the system so that I can have an account. So I'm just putting our work address here. This is our mailing address. Whoops. And it tries to find that address. So it's linked to USPS. So it will try to link you with your zip code. And if you have a different address for your home and you want to update it, you can do that. I'm going to just say mine's the same. And then it does require a primary phone number. So I'm going to put our office number. And then if you have participated in the Teach Scholarship Program, this is a question that we're just asking when you create your account, just so we have an idea of who we already have successfully put through that program. So it's just a data question. And then it always asks, do you want to use the USPS recommendation? Because it adds that little 4-digit on the end. And I usually say yes. You don't have to, but I usually say yes. And then it's asking for your communication preferences. If you want to receive informational emails from us, if you want to learn more about the system. And we do try to send out monthly communication about the system. We've been doing that since we started, and we try to send out tips and tricks and things like that. And so I do recommend that you stay in the communication loop so you're getting those updates as we launch new features and provide you with supports on how to do things within the system. So this is our terms of use. You are not signing away your first child. It's just a privacy use that we have in our system for you to acknowledge that you've reviewed. So you would want to read that and then submit. And now your profile is set up. And it is going to process me through the system. So there I am. I have successfully created my account. Here is where you will see the state registry ID number that was assigned to me. And again, if you were a person in the previous system, you would have already had a state registry ID or a student number, and it should be the same. And if it is not the same, then you didn't link to your account, and you'll want to call somebody at South Carolina Endeavors so we can fix that for you. We have a way to fix it. It's not hard, but we do have to make sure that we kind of combine your account so that you have access to the old information. And before you move any farther in the system, you would want to do that so that we have you set up correctly in the system. So this is also where you can become a trainer, become a technical assistance provider, complete your professional profile, which is our career ladder. And then if you wanted to access your learning record, I know many of you had already done that, but this is where you would do it. You would click on this and it pulls up the PDF of all of your training. It's also available under your reports tab. There's a place for you to click on your learning record. It's the same one as the one below. There's also a place for you to click on if you've earned credentials in the system. So if you've already had ECD 101 or any of the higher level credentials, there's a place for you to print those certificates now on the website. So you don't have to call and say, I lost mine, I can't find it. It's available on the site, and it has been updated to our South Carolina Endeavors logo. So you may want to do that just to have it, and you can frame it and whatever else you'd like to do. But it's your way to kind of track what you have accomplished within the system in a nice certificate form. So since Sally hasn't done any of that yet, I can't show you what it looks like. But if you've got one, I encourage you to go to your reports tab and download those credentials that you may have already earned. So since Sally's brand new, what she's going to want to do is link to her employment. So she wants to make sure that she links to the place that she works. So to do that, I'm going to go to my employment tab, and I'm going to hit edit employment, and I'm going to add position. Now, this is where you have to make a decision about what type of organization, what type of employment do you have. If you work in direct care, so if you're a teacher, an educator, and you work in a program that has like a license number or a Head Start or something like that, you would want to select this first option. If maybe you wanted to report a previous employment, maybe you worked out of state, then you might want to choose this option. So you might want to start with reporting your older employment that you had previously. And then if you work for an organization, just a training organization or a state or local government organization, you would select this last option. And what it's trying to do is kind of filter you through the system to find the correct information. Because like I said, we're getting licensing feed information. So if we select the direct care program, then it's going to try to find your license information so that it can connect you to the right thing. So I'm going to show you that because I think most of the people that are in this call or in this training have more of a direct care service employment. So we're going to go through that so you can see that process. So if you knew your organization ID, and this is the organization ID number that is generated from our system, it is a unique number that all organizations have once they have registered their organization in our system. But if you haven't done that, you don't know what it is, and so you won't have that. But if your employer had said, hey, listen, I set up the organization profile, here's your 4-digit number, you could put that in, find it, and connect to it. But since we don't have one yet, since we don't know, we're going to search for an employment name. And this person happens to work for East Elementary. So I'm going to try to find that one. And there's a lot of different search options. If you knew that the number, you could do that. So it's going to pull up a lot of different places that have kind of similar names. But the one that I want is actually this one. It's in Dillon. And I know that I have connected because it has a license number. So, and that matches the license number that I know exists for this program. Again, this is all test data. So I'm going to confirm that I do work for them. And then I get to tell them what kind of role I have within that organization. I'm going to say I'm a director because I'm going to show y'all something a little bit later with how that works with organizations. So it asks for information about your role. How many months of the year do you work? How many hours? Is this your primary employer? Yes or no, or just check it if you are. And then I work with all adults. I work with all, well, really I could select all these. So you can select as many as you want. I work with my whole school because I'm the director. And then it asks for your start date. And maybe I've been working there for a while. So I'll put, you can type in the date. You don't have to use the calendar. It'll populate the date for you. And if you're still working there, you wouldn't put an end date, obviously. And this is what I was talking about with the wage information. This is where you have the option to report wage information so that we have that data. But if you do not feel comfortable doing that and don't want to, it's never a required field. You can either say I earn an annual salary and it flips to letting you put in an annual salary, or you can say I do not wish to provide this information, and that is fine too. And so we'll hit save. And it has issued your self-reported status. So you are done because that's all you can do at this point as an individual within the system. The person that sets up the actual profile, which we'll show you in a minute, the organization profile, will have more work to do. So we'll finish that employment for now and go back and I'll show you that you now are still Sally. This is your main page, your summary page, and now you have listed that you work at East Elementary School. So that is how you create an account and attach your record to an employment. So the next thing we're going to talk about a little bit more is those organization profiles. So organizations can be childcare programs, community partners, state agencies. Anyone can have an organization profile. And what needs to happen is that the designated person from that organization, maybe the director or an assigned person that keeps up with HR records or whatever the person that you want to have management over the organization profile, they're the ones that need to set up that profile. And what we just did was not setting up the profile. What we did was connect to the employment or the place of your work, but it didn't set up that profile yet. So we're going to show you how that works next. But it allows us to really keep up-to-date employee records or employment records. If you are a director and you have your employees linked to your organization profile, then you have the ability to track and look at your training, the training hours of all of your employees by verifying that they work for you. You can't see anybody else's. They have to connect and you have to agree to that. And so you're not connecting to everything. You're only connecting to the people that really do work for you and that have verified that they work for you and you verified that they work for you. But that is one feature that was we were very intrigued by that because we got over the years many requests from directors like, can't I just see my employees' records? Because it was very difficult in the old system. You either had to say, hey, can you go get your learning record for me? Can you get your transcript for me? Bring it to me and I'll make sure it's good. Or you had to get into their own personal profile so that you could locate that information. And that's not good either, to try to go into other people's information. So this is a very safe way for directors to be able to locate those records, those employee records, and keep up with those yearly training requirements. So I'll show you where that is in just a few minutes when we set up that organization profile. And then for organizations such as community partners, people that are providing training opportunities, it's a way for you to track your organization-based training. So if you were a trainer and wanted to do training through an organization, maybe a First Steps organization, you would want that training to be associated with your organization so you can keep track and do some reporting of what opportunities you have provided within your organization. So I'm going to demonstrate how to set up an organization profile. So again, we're going back to Sally. Sally is our director. She wants to set up her organization profile because she's been the one that kind of keeps up with all of that. And so she's decided that's something I'm going to do. So we're going to click over here onto this Add Organization Profile. And I'm going to create that profile. So it's just asking, this is you, you're the one that's going to maintain the record. So it kind of remembers what your name and your email address is. And then this is where you would select that you are a direct service care or you're not. So since we know Sally is and needs to connect to that East Elementary, we're going to say, yes, I am. And then it goes through a series of questions. And these questions are trying to, again, make sure that you're connecting to the correct organization. It's trying to filter you through the right channels. It's got licensing data on the back end that it wants you to connect with. And so instead of creating an unregistered record that doesn't lead to anything, it's trying to ask you these pointed questions to be sure you connect with the right organization. So if you're a licensed or registered program, you would have a license number. And so it wants you to put in that information here. And since I know that's what East Elementary is, that's what I'm going to put for that one. And then if you are an exempt facility but participating in ABC quality, you would have a CC number. So you would put that there. This one is not. If you were a Head Start, you would have the ability to put that information there. You have a selection that you drop down to locate your grantee. We are not. If you are associated with a partnership or school-based program, pre-K program and a school-based CERT-up maybe, you would have a way to indicate where you are located within the state and what partnership number you have. And then whether you're tribally licensed as well. So we said no, we have to answer them. They're yes or no, and they have to be answered to move forward. So we said yes to licensed, but we said no to the other items, and then we're going to move on. So this is what it's trying to do. It's trying to connect you to the right thing. Is this the right school? Is that where you want to be? And I'm going to say yes, it is. So I'm going to hit next. And if you wanted to provide training through your organization, if you are an organization that not only provides direct care service to children, but maybe you also provide training to your employees. Maybe Sally wants to become a trainer and she wants to have the ability to do that. Then you would select, yes, I want to be a training sponsor as well. Then it asks for information that will be important for you to fill in. Especially if you're going to be participating in ABC Quality, they'll be using the system to kind of make sure they have up-to-date classroom information for you. Again, going back to not duplicating efforts, they'll be looking at the system to make those determinations about your program, and you won't have to provide that as well to them. They can look at this system as well. So we're working with them on that process currently. So you can say how many classrooms you have. You can indicate how many infants, toddlers, pre-K, all of those, any age group that you have in your program, you can indicate that information, that good data information about your program in this system. So, and this is, you don't have to, this is not required fields, but if you will and do that, it will provide some great information and data for the field. Again, it talks about a little bit of demographical information here. You're able to select information about demographics. And then if you have children enrolled that speak a language other than English, you can indicate that as well. And again, that just helps us make data decisions and policy decisions for our field. This is, I believe, a required question. It's at a full day, part day, that kind of thing. So we're going to say full day, full calendar year. It could be a school year, it could be summer. You have the options to indicate what kind of program it is. And then if you wanted to provide any context there, you could. So it's just asking for, do we have the right information? Yes, it looks like we do. Move that down. And I'm going to submit this because everything looks fine. I've reviewed it. I've got the right information. I am going to subscribe. I want to receive information about South Carolina Endeavors. So I'm going to make sure I subscribe to that, and then I'm going to submit. It says, thank you for registering your organization. On my end, that you can't see right now, I'm actually going to go in and approve this organization because our agency then has to make sure that everything that you put in was correct. If you didn't attach your license number, or maybe you didn't, maybe the director wasn't the one that set up the profile, maybe an assistant director or somebody who's not listed on the license, put in this profile, and we have to make sure that that's the right person. So we either call, email, we have a process that we make sure we connect with someone to be sure that this is the right person to connect. The worst thing would be that someone connected to the wrong organization, and then you have no, we would have to fix that on our end, and it just turns into a mess. So we do take really, really good care of making sure we follow all of our processes and procedures, and we want to ensure that the information that you've put in is accurate and correct before we confirm it. So we do need a couple of days to do that. So I'm going to this test site on the back end. I have the administrative access to locate this program. And I'm going to try to approve that organization. So we're going to go back to Sally Provider. And so, like I said, just give us our organization a few days so that we can be sure that we've had the time to connect that and make sure that it is accurate for you. Okay. So I'm going to go back to our presentation. Any questions so far before I move on? Because I know we've done a lot now. And so I just want to answer any questions that you might have. We said we'd wait till the end, but I know this has been a lot of information. So let's take a minute to use that Q&A to Coria and see if anything's maybe even come through so far that you want to shout out to me, or if anybody has something right now, take a minute to put your questions in, and I'll try to answer them based on what we've discussed so far.
Absolutely, Melissa. So right now, our first question was, can SC create a program like North Carolina's wages?
Oh, great. We actually, that would be awesome. We would love to do that. And that is something that is a future initiative that we have discussed. I don't know how familiar you are with the PDG, Preschool Development Grant, but that was some funding that our state received from the federal government. And that is a discussion that we have had. We would love to do something like that for our field. And I think that as we move forward with the career ladder option, the education profiles, being able to really highlight what accomplishments you've had, because wages is very much tied to education and compensation benefits. That is something that I think in the future we would be able to provide. It's not available right now, but it is something that we're very, very interested and have had conversations about implementing within our state. So keep your eyes out.
Excellent. We have one more question. What does the organization see in the employee's profile besides the training transcript?
The only thing that they can see, they can't link to any personal data or anything like that. So it's just like you verify that you've gotten your employment date is correct and that your, your training is up to date. That's really it. There's nothing more that you can see within that system. Good question though.
Excellent. And we have one more question about how do you verify that you are connected to your organization?
Yes. I was going to show you that, but for some reason I was trying to find, hold on just a second. Let me go back to my administrative side really quickly and see if I can connect those two so I can show you. Okay, bear with me just a minute. Okay, I think what I'm going to do actually is flip to my personal profile. Well, here it is actually. Let's see. Let me see. No, it's not approved yet. Hang on. Let me show you with mine because it's being temperamental technology, right?
Melissa, while you're pulling that
Yes.
up, this really easy question, or I hope it's easy. The transcripts, do they have to be official or can they be unofficial?
Great question. Transcripts can be unofficial. If you're putting in education information, you can use unofficial transcripts. They do need to have your name, typed on there by the college, the college name, confer date, things like that. So you can't like copy and paste into a Word doc. It does need to be that printed copy that you get from the college, but it doesn't have to be the official transcript. You don't have to order that and send that in or anything like that. It can be unofficial. Good question. So I wanted to show you, I am not a direct service care, and I'm sorry, the system's not letting me link these for some reason, probably doing something wrong on my end. I apologize. But I can show you my profile, and I can show you how I've connected to SC Endeavors as an organization within the registry. So I can't show you again those reports on the individuals because we're not a direct care service. But when you get to, I do have employees that are listed. These are employees of SC Endeavors, and you can, this is your list. This is what you will see when you connect each other to those, excuse me, to those organizations, to the organization profile. It does show, what date they were employed. If you had a career ladder level, it would show that, current status. These people, this person is self-reported. You can always update that information so that you can, provide the more updated information. If this person was no longer working with me, I could put that she is no longer employed and put an end date. But I'm going to verify that Mickey does work for me. So Mickey Jennings, many of you may know her from previous encounters. I'm going to save that information. And now she's verified by our organization. So remember when we connected Sally to East Elementary and she wasn't really connected, she just was self-reported? This is what you'll see. You'll see that as self-reported. But when you update that, it will show up as verified. Just for other, profile owners, you do have the ability to manage invites. You can invite your employees so that they just get an email and say, hey, your organization is inviting you to attend to a link, to your organization. And you can do that through this manage invites button. And when they log in, they can accept or deny that invite. But that's a real easy way to get employees connected right away. Otherwise, you can tell them what this number is, the unique number that's your organization number generated from this system. You could let your employees know, hey, I've set up our profile. This is the number that you need. And they can go back to that employment tab on their individual profile and add that information. So that way they can link to you as well. Either way, that way they can link. Any other questions?
There's one more in the Q&A box, Melissa, and this person must really like North Carolina. So there's some stuff going on up there. And the question is, can we create a letter like North Carolina has that lets companies know that we have had a background check and our levels of education?
That is a great idea. That sounds like kind of on the same page as like non-duplicating efforts is what it sounds like. You know, you may be having to provide something to licensing and to the registry. And so that sounds like something that could kind of marry the two, because we will have your education information and licensing will kind of have your other status. So that's to be determined. I haven't actually ever heard that. So I'd be actually interested in whoever did post that question. Like I said, my email is going to be at the end. I would love to find out more from you about that. And I'm sure that's something that we could talk more about, partner with licensing, kind of figure out what that would entail. So that's a great comment. Anything that would make it easier for you guys, take away the duplication. That's what we're trying to accomplish. Okay, any other questions, Tokoria, is that it?
Yes, the person who asked that last question was LaKendra Brown, and she just said, I know it will just make things easier.
Yeah, yeah. You have a lot of requirements. And so it definitely is something that, as you think of things like that, we'd love to hear them. You know, sometimes people get stuck in their rut and they just are doing what they're doing, but we want to use this platform as a way to really streamline our efforts. So please reach out to me. I'll have my email at the end. I'd love to hear more from you. Thanks, Kendra. Okay, so I'm going to quickly show you guys. I know we have been barreling through the registry. So I want to show you a really cool feature that we have on the registry now for our search for training. I think it will really help you guys find appropriate training. And if you're not familiar, this is our new website. We redesigned it when we came over from the old system to the new system. And so you actually have the ability to search for training without logging in. You can be logged in. If you were logged in as yourself, I'll show you that really quickly from my profile. If you've already logged in, then you have this little left-hand navigation section. I'm a trainer, so I have training entry, but if I want to search for training, I can go here, and it takes me to the same page as if I go to our website and click registry login. And this is our search. This is our statewide calendar, basically. You can find training if you're on this tab, and you can find trainers or somebody who would be willing to maybe come to your program, come to do some real on-site targeted TA with you. You can locate those people here, but I'm going to try to go to find training. It is very robust. It has so many options for you to find training that meets your needs. You can do a keyword search. You can, if you know the event ID, if you know somebody's planning a training and you have an event ID, you can put that in and it takes you right to that event. If you have a title that you're looking for, you can search by city, you can search by county. It has every county listed. You can, if you leave that blank, it comes up with everything. And leaving that blank also would pull more information, obviously, maybe from places in other areas of the state or online training that's available throughout the state. If you wanted a specific date range, you could search for that. If you wanted to just find growth and development training, you can filter by that option as well. I'm going to go ahead and click growth and development because usually people want that kind of thing. You can search by training languages. We have just so many ways for you to find things. And if you wanted to try only free events, you have a way to check. I just want the free events. I don't want anything that I have to pay for. You can select that as well. If you are really only interested in, right now, I know everything's web-based and there's not a lot of classroom training going on, but if you were interested in just online training, maybe self-paced, because a lot of the online companies have self-paced options where you just, click into a class like Pro Solutions and take that, then you could filter just for those opportunities as well. So I'm going to actually do that just to show you the options that exist for you, and click locate events.
And I'm just going to pop in here to let everybody know we have about 10 minutes left in this session. So if you do have any other questions, please make sure you get them into the Q&A box.
Great. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Corey. That's great. So, so these are all of the options that exist for growth and development with web-based and self-paced opportunities. So online companies. Now, you can go to those companies. They usually list their web-based address for you to go to that company's website and locate the training and find a way to register for that. Those companies will also list whether or not there's a fee And this one says not available. That doesn't mean that there's not a fee. It's just that they don't list it on our website. So they may have another opportunity for you to locate that within their platform. Of course, the 15-hour health and safety is a free event. It links to the Pro Solutions site there, but there's loads of other opportunities. And if you find training on our calendar, the nice thing about this is that you don't have to do anything. I don't know how many of you in the past have had to send in just numerous forms, certificates, and then you had to wait 6 to 8, 10 weeks, 12 weeks for us to enter it. That no longer exists. You do not have to do that anymore if you locate training that's been approved on our website. Those trainings, those trainers, those vendors are submitting those training into our system themselves. You don't have to send us anything. They are doing that for you. So it really takes the pressure off of you to have to keep up with all of that, because they're going to put it right into your learning record. And the next time you log in, within about 10 days, I'd give them, a couple weeks, then that's going to show up on your transcript. And it's really helping us maintain your compliance much faster and easier than it was when you were having to send us all that information. And then we'd get really backlogged with all the state data. This is really keeping things much more in line with your compliance of the DSS training transcript. So just make sure you're using this to find trainings and verifying that it is available. And like I said, if you find it on our website through this search for training, it's going to count. And we know that it's going to count in the area that's indicated on this, because this is training that's already been approved. It's already been registered. So I definitely want to mention that. So we're wrapping up, but I just want to mention that, as we continue down this endeavor, this road that we're traveling on together, we're going to need your help, because you play a part in this too. We need you to spread the word. Maybe you've got some colleagues that are like, I don't understand how this works. Help them, be their advocate, help them through the process. You've seen it now. You kind of can see what it looks like. What is available to them. Update your information, keep it up to date. If you've got some additional college coursework that you've taken, or if you have a credential that you wanted to apply for, you can do that now all through the system. So keep it up to date, keep us in the loop when you have questions about things, or you're seeking new opportunities. Then just keep us informed and let us know what your questions are, and we'll be glad to help you with that. And of course, be on the lookout for more information as we continue to build this system and build this site. We will continue to make sure what opportunities are available to you, so that you can keep a lookout for those new items. So let's do a quick temperature check. How are we feeling? A poll. I'm feeling great. I'm really hot because I'm feeling great about this new system. Warm, I'm warming up to the idea. Or cold, I'm really feeling apprehensive about this new system. I'd love to have your feedback. Okay, great. So mostly feeling pretty good. That's wonderful. And if you're not feeling comfortable, if you're apprehensive about it, you just really don't understand, or you have questions about it, I am always willing to help you. I'll walk you through any process or problem that you have. We can do a call together where I can show you the system again. I can demo for you any aspect of the system. Any of our staff is more than willing to help you. So please do reach out to me. This is my email address, my contact information. Can you see it? Whoops. Am I in the way? Let me move me. And also Carrie Kay is our education verification lead, and she is also available to help answer questions. She and I work really closely together. I'm mostly with training and she's mostly with education. And so we were more than happy to answer any of your questions that you might have about the system, or any other issues that you're having. So any questions, Decoria, that have come through since we checked in last?
I don't see any questions about your presentation. There are a couple of personal questions that are going to be redirected to your email.
Perfect, perfect. Well, I am very glad that you all participated today, and I hope it was helpful and useful for you to see it. I always think it's better to see it than just talk about it. We do have a number of how-to guides, though. If you want to go back and practice something or try setting up your organization account, I'll show you really quickly where that's located on our website. So let me go back to home. And under our resources tab, there is a publications page. I'm going to move us again. And all of our how-to documents are here. And we're just starting to build some of these kind of video-based ones too. We've got one, we've just started doing that. So be on the lookout for more of those. But any of the create your account, how-to guides, organization profile, anything that you need help kind of navigating, if you're a trainer or want to become a trainer, all of those how-to guides are available on our publications page. And I think that's it. Thank you again, y'all.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Appreciated that. Hi again, everyone. We just wanted to remind you that if you have any questions or would like to provide any specific feedback, you can always feel free to email the Inclusion Collaborative at scic@mailbox.sc.edu. If you were seeking CEUs or childcare training credit, you should have completed that information during registration, but again, you can use that email address. You'll see it on the screen if you have any questions about that. In just a moment, you're going to see an evaluation pop up on the screen, so please make sure to complete the evaluation to give us feedback. Just a few things. All handouts will be available on the website at the Champions page, and as well as any of the recordings. They will also be available in the coming days, and that's scinclusion.org. And if you attended, it looks like we have at least one person who attended by phone. If you attended by phone and are seeking any type of CEUs or training credit, please make sure to email that scic@mailbox.sc.edu with your name, the session name that you attended, and the phone number that you're using today to attend, so that we can link it all up to provide those credits for you. Thank you to Melissa. Thank you to our captioner and everyone who attended. We really appreciate your attendance. So I'm popping up the evaluation now. Please take a moment to complete that evaluation. And if you have any other thoughts or questions, you can pop that into the Q&A or chat while we're doing the evaluation. So you should see the poll just right on your screen, and I'll leave it up for another minute or so to make sure that you have time to complete it. We're aiming for 100% because we appreciate the feedback. We want to know what you thought about the virtual sessions this time. And again, we're new to doing things virtually, so we're open to feedback and suggestions and you learning with all of us. We're happy that we could provide the Champions Symposium virtually for you all this year. And I see that Takoria had dropped some information in the chat. There are no actual handouts for this session, but you will be able to review the PowerPoint slides by visiting our website as well. That will be posted on there. Looks like just a few more people need to complete the evaluation. Thank you so much for your feedback. we hope to see some of you tomorrow for our featured talk and our breakout sessions as well. We're at 89%, oh, 91. Once you've completed the evaluation, you can go ahead and continue on with your day. It looks like everyone has, so I'm going to go ahead and end the evaluation. And thank you again, Melissa, and thank you everyone for your participation.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, all.